Jade Walker rose with the dawn, the rhythm of discipline still pulsing through her years after she left the battlefield. Her 5-acre farm in Willow Creek, South Carolina, was supposed to be peace. A place to forget Afghanistan. A place to heal. But peace in towns like Willow Creek came with conditions. Mostly unspoken, sometimes enforced. She was mid-sentence with a row of tomatoes when the still air cracked. 3 police cruisers barreled up her driveway, gravel flying. 2 unmarked black SUVs followed. Within seconds, a semicircle of armed officers surrounded her property. Sierra and Titan, her military-trained Belgian Malinois, watched from the porch, still and silent. They needed no command yet. Jade stood slowly, brushing soil from her gloves. Her heart didn't race. She'd stared down warlords with IEDs strapped to their chests. This was different, closer, personal. Captain James Reynolds emerged first, broad-chested, white, with a permanent sneer etched into his face. Reynolds carried the weight of decades of unpunished complaints like medals. Citizens whispered his name with unease. Jade knew the type. Men who mistook a badge for a crown. "Miss Walker," he said, voice oily. "Got a few questions." Jade's expression didn't change. Then ask. He stepped closer, his hand never straying far from his holster. "Reports of strange activity. In and out of your property at night." She raised a brow. "You'll need a warrant to step 1 foot inside my home." Reynolds grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Probable cause overrides that sweetheart. She hated that word. Not for what it meant, but how men like Reynolds weaponized it. "You can repeat that lie to the judge later," she said, voice calm but sharp. "For now, unless you have something in writing, I suggest you back off." Behind him, 2 officers moved toward her barn. Another headed for her shed. Jade's pulse ticked upward. Not fear, calculation. They were baiting her, trying to provoke the angry vet they could throw cuffs on. "I do not consent to this search," she called out. The officers kept moving. One kicked over a crate of tomatoes, the red pulp smearing into the earth like blood. Another rattled open her shed, scattering tools. It wasn't about evidence. It never was. Inside her jeans pocket, she pressed a tiny button. A recorder hidden in her jacket chirped silently to life. "I want badge numbers," she said, louder now. "Every one of you. This is unlawful entry." Reynolds laughed. "You think that dog tag around your neck changes who you are?" He whispered as he got close. "You serve, sure, but people like you always forget. You don't get to walk away from what you were born as." Rage surged, but Jade didn't flinch. Her grandfather's voice rang in her memory. "Don't give them your fire. They'll use it to burn you." Across the yard, a younger officer, Bennett, hesitated, watching the scene unfold. Sweat trickled down his temple. Rookie, she guessed. Still believed in the rules. "Nothing in the barn, sir," someone shouted. "Check the house." Reynolds barked, eyes locked on Jade. "That's a line you won't cross," she said, her tone turning hard. "You breached that door without a warrant, and I'll press charges that'll stick. This is my land." Reynolds didn't blink. "Obstructing an investigation, are we?" The others murmured, shifting like wolves tightening a circle. Jade took 1 step back toward her porch and gave a tiny flick of her wrist. It was enough. Sierra and Titan rose without sound. Their paws padded down the steps, muscles taut beneath their coats. They didn't bark. They didn't growl. They just stared, trained protectors calculating threats. The effect was instant. One officer froze mid-step. Another gripped his belt. That Reynolds' smugness cracked. "Call them off." "I haven't given them a command," Jade replied evenly. The tension snapped like a pulled wire. Everyone knew now. This wouldn't be easy. Then came the sound, quiet but undeniable, a phone buzzing in Reynolds' pocket. He hesitated. Pulled it out. His face changed out of pause. "Then stand down." "What?" One of the officers muttered. "I said stand down." The men looked at each other, confused, suspicious, but slowly they backed away from the house. Bennett lingered for a second, then followed. Reynolds didn't meet her eyes as he turned back to his cruiser, but Jade watched him. This wasn't over. Something had stopped him, and it wasn't her dogs. That call had come from higher up. She waited until the last vehicle reversed down the long driveway. dust clouds rising behind them. Only when the rumble faded did she exhale. Inside the house, she sat at her kitchen table, Sierra and Titan at her feet. She replayed the audio, clean, clear, undeniable that she needed. Because whatever they were looking for, whatever had scared Reynolds into retreating, it was bigger than her. And it was coming back. Reynolds let out a bitter laugh. You think a uniform makes you equal? He stopped short of a slur, eyeing Bennett. But the message was clear. Equal to what, Captain? Jade asked calmly. Please, finish that thought on record. His eyes flicked to her pocket, suddenly suspicious. Was she recording? Doubt turned to fury. Search the house, he barked. If she resists, arrest her. Two officers approached the porch, but Jade stepped forward. This ends now, she declared. Reynolds strode toward her, unbuckling his holster. Step aside, or you're under arrest. Jade knew she stood at a crossroads. Comply and lose control, or resist and give them cause. But her military training gave her another option. With deliberate calm, she raised her hands, palms open, and whistled. A single, sharp sound only Sierra and Titan would recognize. The front door creaked open. The officers turned, startled. Sierra and Titan emerged, no longer pets, but black-vested, focused military assets. Sierra flanked right. Titan, 90 pounds of disciplined power, stood between Jade and Reynolds. Their silent, calculated formation sent a cold ripple through the scene. Control your animals, Reynolds snapped, though his voice wavered. Sierra, Titan, position, Jade commanded. The dogs froze, alert and unmoving. Bennett glanced at their vests. Captain, he whispered, those are special operations dogs. Recognition dawned on the officers. Jade continued, they are federal assets. Defensive only, unless ordered otherwise. The implication was clear. Reynolds swallowed hard. This is police intimidation, he muttered. No, sir, Bennett interjected, surprising everyone. This is the opposite. We came 6-on-1, without a warrant. Jade seized the moment. You've destroyed my property, threatened me, and tried to plant evidence. All of it's recorded. My security system streams directly to my attorney. The officer near the shed looked uneasy. Just then, a news van pulled up. Jade's system had notified the press after 15 minutes of unauthorized police presence. Lisa Chun of Channel 7 stepped out. We got a tip about police at a veteran's home. What's going on? Reynolds tried to block her. Active investigation. You need to leave. We're on public property, Chun replied, filming the tense scene. Reynolds turned back to Jade, seething. This stunt won't save you. This isn't a stunt, Jade said. You're trespassing without cause or a warrant. Her phone rang. Marcus Gaines, my attorney, she said, reaching for it. Reynolds lunged, snatching the phone and slamming it to the ground. Oops, broken phone. That night, Jade couldn't sleep. At 2 a.m., Sierra growled. Motion detected. 5 figures emerged from the woods. Reynolds, Delaney, and 3 masked men. One carried a gas can. They were here to destroy evidence. Jade activated floodlights and sprinklers. Sierra, Titan, engage. With surgical precision, Sierra took down the man with the gas can while Titan disarmed Reynolds. Screams rang out as the dogs neutralized threats without bloodshed. Neighbors stirred. Reporters arrived. Bennett, limping and bruised, shouted, Reynolds tried to kill me for speaking up. Video evidence and Bennett's testimony ended the corruption. 6 months later, Jade stood on the courthouse steps, facing a sea of cameras. Reynolds and Chief Wilson were in custody, charged with conspiracy, civil rights violations, and targeting minority homeowners to make way for a tourism project. The Sentinel Protocol had evolved into Veterans for Justice, Jade's nonprofit offering service dogs to veterans with PTSD. She now trained animals like Sierra and Titan to serve as protectors and companions. A.S. Reynolds was led away in cuffs. Jade looked on, not with hate but purpose. This isn't victory, she said into the microphones. It's accountability. Power unchecked becomes abuse. But together, we shine light into darkness. She turned to the crowd, composed of veterans, neighbors, and press. What would you do in the face of injustice? Her voice rang out. Would you stay silent or stand like Bennett did? Like I did. She paused, letting the silence settle. If you believe in justice, in community, subscribe. Share this. Let the truth ripple outward. The camera panned over Sierra and tightened beside her, perfectly still, ever watchful. Jade smiled. We are not alone anymore.